Hi, folks. Welcome to The Way I See It, my podcast on all things money, the economy, and of course, finance. So I'm just a bit, I want to talk about, should we say, the oil theft that is going on, the oil theft that is going on really in Nigeria, right? And a few things come to my mind that just don't make any sense. So I said, let me just record this, get my thoughts on the air. So first of all, you have to understand how Nigeria operates, right? There was a time when a governor was going into office, and on his asset declaration form, he put about 1 trillion. That those were the assets that he owned, right? I don't think the governor owned 1 trillion naira, but what he was doing was front loading. That was a joke back then. He was front loading what he was going to steal. So by saying I own 1 trillion naira now, he was probably protecting himself in 8 years to say, hey, I declared 1 trillion 8 years ago, so I definitely have 1 trillion. This seems to be to me like what's going on really with the oil theft and all that in Nigeria. Again, like I said, the numbers don't make any sense. Let's sort of like walk this, methodologically and see if we can get some sense of what's going on. The first thing is this: we hear from everyone, the Minister of State for Petroleum, the Pengasin, which is the unions, the operators in the Nigerian oil and gas sector. Everyone agrees that oil is being stolen. We all have different figures from everyone, right? The Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Timipreye Sylva, says it's 400,000 a day that has been stolen. 400,000 a day, right? Pengasin says almost 90% of the onshore crude oil pumped in Nigeria is stolen, right? The minister, NNPC CEO, says about 700,000 is shut in, i.e., we can't pump up to 700,000 because it's shut in. No one wants to pump and it gets stolen. I've heard Tunulumulu say 95% of the crude oil was stolen, right? When he pumps crude oil, 95% is stolen. So you get the sense that there's something going on in Nigeria. Oil is being stolen. But when you look at the numbers, that's when it starts to break down, right? Let me give you guys some numbers. Nigeria's got 4 refineries. The total output or the total capacity of the 4 refineries is 423,000. Let's call it 425, just a round figure. So what the Minister of State for Petroleum is telling Nigerians is that the total amount being stolen every day is equal to the total capacity that Port Harcourt 1 and 2, Kaduna and Warri have been refining or have their nameplate to refine. That just doesn't make any sense, right, guys? Where is the oil being stored? So if they break into the pipeline and they take the oil out, where are they storing it when they are refining it? I mean, you've got 4 huge refineries, 1 all the way in Kaduna, 3 down south. And the Minister of State is telling us that this theft is almost equal, just to take out a few thousand barrels, to what the 4 nameplate refineries were doing before they all went bad. That's it's a bit untidy there. The Dangote refinery is about 650,000 refining capacity nameplate. That refinery has a storage capacity of about 2.4 billion liters. So that means Dangote wants to refine 650. He has about 2.4 billion liter storage capacity. But somehow, the guys that steal crude oil in the Delta are able to steal daily 400,000. Where are they storing it? It's not possible. We have one crude line. If they steal, you know exactly where they are stealing from. You can't go to Yobe and steal the crude oil. You have to steal from the pipelines. So we know exactly where it's been stolen. We can draw a circle and say the storage has got to be around here, right? So that's the first thing that just doesn't sit right with all this stealing. That what is being stolen is crude oil, not PMS. Cars don't drive crude oil. Cars drive PMS. Unless we're saying that the guys that break into the pipes have created refining capacity equal to what existed in Nigeria before the refineries went down. So I don't buy it. I think what's going on is a bit easy, to explain. And someone told me this. Someone said, Carlo, what's going on is very, very simple. That the ships come in, the very, very large crude oil carriers, those vessels, those big, huge 3 football field ships, they come in and they are able to lift oil at the official port of export. But when they come in, they have a paper that says lift 1 million. And on that paper, on the official ports, they lift 1.5. And it's recorded as 1 million. So they overlift officially at that port. And the security guys see it, everyone sees it, because whatever you lift is recorded. Everyone sees, but everyone turns a blind eye. The ship sails out of Nigeria and then it's transloaded. That's the oil theft going on. It's not being done by the guys in the creeks. It's being done right in broad daylight. Officially, the ships come in, they are overloaded, they go out of Nigeria, they transload, and it's sold. That's the only way this makes sense. Think about it, guys. This is the only way this makes sense. You can't steal 400,000 barrels, refine it. It's not possible. So then what do the guys do? They then appoint Tompolo to guard the pipelines. That's the smoke screen. Because when you put Tompolo out there to guard the pipelines, everybody thinks, oh, he's going to protect the pipelines from the thieves. These are the thieves that are stealing the crude oil in Nigeria. That's a smoke screen. There is literally no way a ship can sail into Nigeria and steal crude oil. And the guys are stealing crude oil, which means they have to store that crude oil, then bunker it to the larger vessel to sail outside Nigeria. It's virtually impossible to do this. I mean, we had this Navy telling us that a frigate is a fast Navy ship. This frigate was donated by the US Navy. So a frigate that was used by the US Navy could not catch an oil-laden oil vessel. That's what the Nigerian Navy is telling us. That's not true. So that's to tell you that, listen, what is going on looks like a planned grand crude oil theft. That's what's going on. Some folks have sat down and said, listen, we're going to take this oil, 400,000 barrels or so a day, or whatever the number is, and we're just going to sell it, and we're going to just keep the money. And we're going to do it in a very, very neat way. The ships would come in, we'll overload them, they go out, and they transload. Then to cover up, we then have all these stories of their pipeline breakages. We're going to appoint Tompolo and all that. It's a ruse, and it's insulting to Nigerians to tell us that. Again, think about what they're telling us, that what has been stolen is the same amount that Nigeria was refining when all the refineries were working. It's not possible. If that was happening, like, again, just where is it being stored? So we have to then ask ourselves, how high up does this conspiracy go? The president is the Minister of Petroleum. Is he aware that 400,000 barrels is being stolen? The figure quoted by the Minister of State, is he aware? The NNPC Limited CEO says oil is shutting. He says there are almost 200 break-ins on a 20-kilometer pipeline or something like that. Is he saying he's not aware? Or is he saying he agrees that onshore breakage of crude oil pipes on Nigerians onshore can accumulate to 400,000 barrels a day? If he agrees, where is it being stored? I mean, it's a pipeline. You have drones. Where are they keeping it? So why is there this rush to blame pipeline vandals and throw out this Tompolo contract for 4 billion with 6 months to go? And that really tells you the answer of where I'm going to. This is just some guys that are going to leave office pretty soon, that are taking their last dividends, in quote, from the Nigerian nation. That's the only conclusion you can come to. And the facts are just apparent and visible to anyone. You can't steal 400,000 barrels from a pipe in Nigeria. It's not possible. So what they are doing, just like the governor that went and said, I declare I have 1 trillion before he stole, is to say oil theft is 400,000. That's what's been stolen. Then to really steal the oil, so that when there's an audit done and someone says, hey, hang on, oil has been pumped for 6 months, we should have gotten this revenue, they'll go back and say, oh, it was stolen. You remember we said oil was being stolen? Yeah, this is what we talked about. It was being stolen. So it's not adding up, guys. And I think it's gone past politics now. I mean, we all know what the subsidy is, the PMS, that's the money for politics. Let's call it spade a spade. This one with crude oil is gone past politics. And I don't think we can just wave it away as some Twitter story. The federal government's figures is 400,000 a day. The Navy is countering that figure. They are saying you can't steal 400,000 a day, which is the point I'm making exactly. So is the Navy saying that the federal government is wrong? Is the NNPC saying that they agree with 400,000 being stolen a day? The total nameplate for Nigerian refineries is 435. So is that what we're saying, that we are stealing the total refining capacity of Nigeria a day, when we know that Dangote with 650,000 needs 2.4 billion liters? So where are they keeping the crude oil? Cars don't on crude oil. So guys, I just want to just get this out there. I want to record my thoughts a bit, just so I can push this out on YouTube and on the podcast. No, we might not take questions, guys. We might do this some other time, but it is what it is. I don't think we should look at this from the political lens. When I post it on Twitter, I see lots of books coming, and they're coming to defend the administration. They're coming to say, oh, no, guys. Every time crude oil is stolen, you pay, because revenues fall, then the government has to go and borrow. Every time the government borrows, that's a tax on you. You are paying that tax. When the government borrows, it's the same effect as a tax hike. And this is a stolen dollars. It's not even naira. So So look at it. What doesn't make sense? We are borrowing dollars when we can simply stop oil theft and not borrow dollars. The deficit for 2023 is going to be $1 trillion a month. 1 trillion a month, based off crude oil sales and non-crude oil sales. You would think that the entire armed forces would be deployed to guard this pipeline that is going to generate the bulk of Nigeria's forex. But nobody's interested. That's the point. No one is interested. Has anyone been fired for this? Has any service chief, any guy in the Joint Task Force in Niger Delta, any minister, any NNPC staff, has anybody does anyone know any story that someone has been fired for the loss of 400,000 barrels a day? Let's not even calculate. That's at $100 a barrel. Do the calculation, convert to naira. How much is ASU asking for? This is what is being lost a day. I don't think so, guys. This is just a big conspiracy, and they are setting these guys up, the militants, to take the fall. This is a big conspiracy. We have to demand for action. There has to be, the president cannot just sit down and say he's not aware. This is more than a politics. This is Nigeria. And I think if we don't stop this, I don't know, guys. All right, guys, I'm going to just end this now. Like I said, no questions. I'm just recording this. It's going to be on the podcast. It's going to be on YouTube, this recording. Thanks for listening in. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I'll be on Silverbird, I believe, by 8 a.m. to talk about this in detail. I hope to see you guys then. Bye.